The wind turbine is 1,222 feet away from her house. Okay, 1,222. And the blade throw on other projects when the turbines have fallen apart are 1,500 feet. So that's not safe for her. So why can't they increase it to 1,500 from her property line so she can be in her horse corral? Or
my horse barn is 1,054.
1,054 feet. She's 400 feet within the blade throw zone of blades on other turbines.
That's documented fact.
I think the issue that you're concerned about is the fact that the county lacks a zoning ordinance and the ability to do that.
And we have a wind farm ordinance that we want to move these structures back from our homes so we don't have to listen to the noise.
Yeah, I thought you said they could use safety.
They can do safety.
Yeah.
They also have a number of cases that they're using for guidance because what the county can get into. Pretend it's not wind farms, all right? Pretend it's.
Yeah, we're here.
But it is.
I understand.
But it
The
is.
ordinance was made for wind farms, and that's what they're scared of changing because they're going to get sued by a landowner for not being able to do what he wants on his land.
Correct.
I want to live in my home and have my kids sleep at night. That's what I want.
Right.
And why is there ordinance keeping me from doing what I want to do with my land? I want to build my house.
Why are those people more important than us? Who gave them that
The
right?
legal issues that the county would start approaching. I'm not pro or anti wind farms. I have no horse in this game,
Right.
except the legal
I have two
standing.
horses that suffer from this.
Except the legal standing of the county. And that would be that when counties who have done this, they've been in this type of predicament for whatever reason, maybe it's a hog farm, so whatever issue might be that one landowner doesn't want another landowner to do, okay?
Okay?
When counties start enacting different types of more and more restrictive building permits or ordinances, whatever you want to call them, courts have found that those are de facto zoning ordinances, and they have restricted the due process of landowners without the benefit of zoning. So,
Hold on a second. So they enacted our wind energy ordinance for wind turbines, and they de facto zoned my home as a no sleep zone. We can't get any sleep in my house. That is all coming down to if I can even withstand to live safely and have children who grow and are healthy. My wife and my kids are suffering greatly, and I need for the wind turbines to be pushed back for my neighbors. Wind farms are going to keep building and growing, and I'm trying to help other people from getting the screws put to them because they can't use their home for its intended purpose, which was to sleep at night.
I think you need to keep working through the process of working with the county board then to look at perhaps zoning.
They're doing everything they can by bringing you in here
Yeah.
to justify doing nothing. And they repeatedly do that.
Now, their question to us at this point was, where are they legally? And they don't want to walk into.
Isn't it a job for the state's attorney to determine that?
I think they don't want to walk into quicksand at this point. And they are very limited. The county legally is very limited in what it can do at this point. I mean, that's
I think you
the
told
bottom
them up
line.
here tonight that they were allowed to regulate the
No.
safety.
My main goal was to say that the county is very limited in statutorily what they can do. I would refer you to the statutes on what counties can do, and then look at that.
May I ask you a question? One of the up and coming issues is going to be we have a application on file, which this particular wind company has sold many times. They are now wanting to put in taller machines with larger rotor diameter to the blades, and so if we're talking safety, how are you advising the county to deal with the setback issues when you're talking larger machines, taller machines, and larger rotor diameter? There's your safety.
Our recommendation to the county would be to look at state law and then case law. I mean, that's all we're coming from. I mean, in another county, you could be someone's mad that their neighbor has a hog confinement. I mean, so the issues are not confined to wind farms. It's the issue is what can the county legally do? I mean, and so our
okay, but-
standpoint is only to help the county avoid making a legal mistake.
Okay, so they started our ordinance with 1,000 foot setbacks, and that was for wind turbines that might be 250 feet tall. And then we have these big wind turbines come in, and they changed that to 1,200 feet because the wind turbines have gotten bigger. They've already changed it once. It really needs to be something like 2,000 feet or 2,500 feet for the huge machines that's going to come up.
From property lines.
In order to not let people not use their homes for its intended purpose is to
That's okay, go ahead.
live and sleep. I mean,
I think
the
every
bigger the
time-
machine, the
Every
the
time
bigger the
those,
setback needs to be.
every time those changes are made, then the county may be able to take a look at what's needed to be done then.
Okay, so if they come with a bigger machine, you think the county should easily be able to reconsider their setback for the huge machine?
No, I'd say that they'd have to go back and look at what they can legally do again. I mean,
Right.
So they've already changed it once, so it's precedents that you can change. And the ordinance has already been applied to twice now by the wind industry, so it's recognized now. They've recognized it as a regulatory document of the county. So the precedence has been set. So now the county should have the authority to go in and make whatever changes they feel is necessary for safety purposes.
And I would say that the county can make changes that they can, as long as they are not overstepping their bounds. That's my advice to the county.
Why can't they enact it?
They could, but they'd have to go back and, if they were to enact zoning, they would have to enact it full blown. In other words, pardon me?
You didn't tell them.
Yeah, they do. I mean, there are a number of people, and a number of reasons for the county to not.
But you were here to talk to the people in the audience, you were here to talk to the listeners, as far as theirs.
No, I think there were board members who were thinking that I think the state's attorney was asked questions, and I don't think that some of the folks understood that the county had requested some additional outside.
Oh, you mean the assistant state's attorney?
Yes.
Okay, so you
So
were
the-
called here by Bill Donahue to explain
I was asked by the county
county board.
and tell them where did this come from? You know, where are we at?
Okay.
What legal standing does the county?
I can't even
Gary Weiner, Gary? Okay. This still, it baffles me that we made a wind ordinance because a wind farm wouldn't come to our county unless we had a wind ordinance. So they put that in place, and now that's what is there to protect the wind farm, to be able to claim that they're operating legally and they have a legal right to have a 1,500 or a 1,200 foot setback.
Probably because they wrote it.
And probably, and it appears that they wrote the ordinance to suit themselves, and
I can't
that's
speak to that. I don't know.
that's where it came from. And now we're stuck with an ordinance that wasn't properly reviewed or looked at very closely, and we're tricked. And now we have a very, very bad ordinance. I have myself and my friends and my neighbors
I think
with
county's
problems. We
issue
can't even live next to these little
county's issue is that it's not, the county doesn't have zoning. And so they have to work with
The only thing we
very
have,
small.
the only thing we have is this ordinance, right?
No, it's actually not even an ordinance. It's a building permit process, correct?
They keep calling it the wind energy ordinance.
They can call it anything they want to. It's not actually an ordinance.
So we don't even have an ordinance.
No, it's
It's a building.
It's a building permit.
That's the first time I heard, oh, it's not an ordinance, it's a building
Pass
permit.
a wind farm ordinance. Some counties have, but legally they can't do it.
Right, because they don't have a zone. Right. So I mean, that can happen. I mean, the county can decide to do that. People can do whatever. It can go any way. I just think that the county has to.
The county can do whatever, go
No, they can
do
handle
whatever they can
zoning or not.
legally. Right, they can make that decision. As long as they can do anything they want, as long as they are legal.
They can do anything they want as long as it's legal, but changing your wind ordinance to protect little kids at night from sleeping in bed, they can't do that? I mean,
If it's not legal, then, I mean, I don't, you're throwing real specifics at me, and I'm being.
I'm very
honest
specific.
as I
That's
can.
my specific problem.
I think the way to do it, and I haven't read your ordinance here, but I think the way to do it would be similar to what Iroquois County did. The larger compliance, the further the building setback under the building permit from a safety standpoint.
Does Iroquois have zoning? Should have been out of here.
Yeah.
They do. Yeah, they have zoning in there. Townships did it through both planning commission and some did planning commission, some did zoning. But the larger the turbine, the further the building setback because of the blade throw.
Iroquois may have been able to do that where Vermilion.
Because they don't have zoning, but in their building permit, if you have a setback established in a building permit, you can do a setback based on safety. So you tie the setback to safety, because now we started out with 120, 140 foot, now we're up to 300 foot diameter. Well, the throw distance is so much further from a safety standpoint, you can justify it, which leads me to my next question. You mentioned the court cases. Were those district cases or were they appellate cases?
I believe they were.
Because I wrote it down, but I didn't quite look it up.
I believe there were circuit cases.
Okay, so certain cases aren't case precedents.
usually goes.
I know they like to use them, but they don't establish case law like an appellate case or a Supreme Court case.
I've been trying to get him to Mike for 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, it's no big. I wrote it down. I'll look it up. I'm just
I
curious.
missed him a couple times, and I thought, oh, I stopped him there.
So,
On the way home, late in the afternoon, and missed him, so I thought this morning I'll catch him.
do you work for
I
the
walked through
with the
about-
attorney Condit, or are you with an insurance company?
With the insurance company.
No,
Okay.
So
You're
if the
an
county,
insurance
so if the county got sued.
Do you think a wind farm is going to sue a county because we increased our distances to help the health and welfare of our existing community members who already have their homes established, who already live in there? If they increase those distances to help my friends, my house is already around, and to help other people, do you seriously think a wind farm company is going to sue the county compared to the county doing nothing and us being here a year before the next wind farm gets built? And when those next citizens up in Houston are seriously injured and their homes can no longer be lived in or slept in, and they are forced out of their home, don't you think that's a bigger insurance risk to get sued by that group of homeowners who know that the board knew the whole time that these machines were going to come and ruin their property? I don't think you should do that.
You have to look at the.
I wouldn't buy stock in your insurance company.
You have to look at the
You're gonna
issue.
lose.
The issue at hand is what can they do legally? And that was.
So legally, they can screw themselves, because they're building up where they are painted into a corner, and if they refuse to deal with it, it's gonna deal with them. If they refuse to deal with it, that alligator that you keep feeding, that you hope is not gonna eat you someday, is gonna grow and grow, and someday, when you run out of food to give that alligator's gonna eat you. And that's where these guys are headed. If they don't do anything, they're gonna get ate up.
I encourage you to encourage them to do something. I mean,
I know, we have been.
You're asking me to do something that I have no control over.
3
Well,
years,
I think-
3 years running, sir. 3
So, I
years.
mean, there are options, the county has options.
Yeah, I think you should change your advice to them and tell them,
I can't
We
tell
have
them
to-
to do something illegal.
What's-
And our-
what-
the
do you
question-
really think it's illegal to change the wind energy ordinance?
I think that they have to move very carefully.
Okay,
I
then
do.
encourage them to move very carefully and change the wind ordinance.
To
for the
protect.
bigger machines, protect the folks in Hoopson who are gonna come down here and eat them like a big old alligator. I think you need to tell them that. I would.
If it's a building ordinance, if that's what they have, I think you've got a strong argument, just from a safety standpoint. They're not listening to the health standpoint at all.
No.
But from a safety standpoint, there's multiple issues there.
We've let them know for the last 3 years, though, that that there's safety concerns, and we've brought that up with them for going on 3 years now.
We're talking about suing and being safe and legally what they can do. I think legally you could remove yourself from insuring our county Because now that you're here telling the county to don't change things because you might get sued, and the other people get hurt, and they sue the county, and they figure out that you told them to not do that, they're gonna put you on that lawsuit too. Now you're gonna have county board members, the chairman, assistant state's attorney, the insurance company, and the landowners that let a wind farm build injurious machines on their property. All of them are gonna get laid in on the lawsuit. It's coming, man. I almost promise you that will come if these guys don't change it. If they don't change it, there's gonna be a huge problem, and it's gonna grow. It's not gonna go away.
I don't think you're gonna find anyone that can tell the county to do something illegal. I mean, I think that's the bottom line.
I don't think anybody's gonna do something illegal.
No, we're not telling you.
Well, I think then you have to find the legal avenues that are available to you.
Then, if the legal avenue is zoning, you need to tell them, hey, it's time to enact zoning, people, because you're gonna have a huge problem if you don't.
Because what's interesting with zoning in the county code, it specifically cites the wind farm. And it did that for a reason, where it didn't address every other specific industry. It was left up to their judgment. But it specifically cites the ability for wind farm, and there's a reason for that.
So I mean, that's just what the political process is, right? You're here, you get to run for county board, you get to say, I think we need to enact zoning, but you have, that's your right as a citizen. And if you were the county board chair, I would tell you don't do something illegal.
No way. No. No way.
So you're heading back home, or? Good. About an hour and a half or so. Then take care. Thanks for coming over.
How often do they collapse those windows?
I don't know. We had one in our wind farm here that broke apart within, how long was it? Was it within 6 months?
Oh, less than.
A month or two. Within a month or two of it being put up, they had a broken blade, and there was one more with another problem. What was the other problem? They had to take it down and
It
redo
was the actual turbine inside
Okay.
wasn't functioning properly.
It's the same thing presented by.
I would tell you that the Finance and Executive Committee meeting will be coming up in the next few days. We are going to have a short explanation of how the contract bidding process works in the county for those committees. Try and outline in detail the difference between the county code and the state code, and there are differences. So if you would like some further information and detail about that, plan to attend either the Finance or Executive Committee. The nursing home, item 2, the nursing home, we have not yet completed the sewer hookup out there. We have reached all kinds of little bitty problems out there, and hopefully the end of this week it'll be done. We are in the process of working, and hope that'll be done quickly. I can report to you that last Wednesday bids were opened in the Buildings and Grounds Department concerning boilers, new boilers for the courthouse. A low bid has been received, and that'll go to property next Monday for review and acceptance, and then passed on up the chain of finance and county board in October. There are substantial energy rebates that are available to us by going with a high efficiency boiler setup, so there'll be more on that later. We have conducted a building survey of both the annex building and the animal shelter concerning heating and air conditioning and the great variation we have in that. We hired a consultant to do that, and he was here today, as a matter of fact. He may be here in one more day, but that's in the process of being done. I can tell you also, item 5, that the balance of the carpet and new seating in courtroom 4B is well along. The carpeting is pretty well in. The new seating will be here by the end of the month and installed. So 4B will be the first courtroom in the courthouse to be renovated, after the roof has been on. That will happen by early October. And that's really all the comments I have. We have no birthdays under item A. This was a bad month, I guess, for birthdays. I would ask the committee chairperson's comments. I'm just going down the line. Mr. Alexander, do you have anything?
Very briefly, Mr. Chairman, our staff has been working very hard to prepare the budget for the coming year. And my commendations to Nikki and Ms. Anstey, as well as others, as far as the department heads and elected officials. We're close, and I just received today the final pieces to the rest of the budgets. I'm hoping September 30th at our Finance Committee meeting, we'll be able to put it together and have that presented for the October meeting as a draft, not a draft, I'm sorry, but as a proposed budget to present to the public at that particular time. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Mr. Green, anything? No. Mr. Johnson?
Negative.
Mr. Knight?
As you said, there will be a property meeting.
Yes.
Please be there.
Very good. Mr. Maron?
The only thing I have, Mr. Chairman, myself and Mr. Stark will get with you in the near future to set up a committee on committees meeting for the realignment of the committee.
Mr. Miller, anything?
None at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Moxley?
Nothing.
Mr. Stone?
Nothing at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any board member have a comment or a question or something they want to share with the rest of the board? Okay, moving on then to item 17, appointments for September. There are two. I would ask for a motion of concurrence for the appointments for the September meeting.
So moved.
Mr. Stone, Mr. Maron has the second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to 18 and 19, you can look at those. There are readings and announcements. Item 20 shows the vacancies that are in the county on the various boards. And 21 now, we come to that with the audience comments related to other county matters. And this is the time where the public can come and comment on anything that they wish to comment on. Again, we'd ask that you identify yourself. Please fill out a card so we have a record of who you are. Remind you that our comments are limited to 5 minutes, and we have 30 minutes in any one area of interest. So for those of you that want to address the board, we're now at area 21 here. Please come forward. Any audience comments?
Good evening. Thank you for taking time listening to us tonight. My name is Gina Isabelli. I live, sadly, in the California Ridge Wind Farm project. I need to put on record, I actually had my official survey done of the distance between the turbine number 126 to my house. To the foundation of my house, it's 1,222 feet. To my horse barn, where I'm there a big part of my time, 1,053 feet. The pasture edge where, again, I have my horses and I do a lot of work, 1,038 feet. So I just wanted that on record. It's the actual official survey now. I'm going to start with this. Everybody should know who Albert Einstein is, correct? You know, he deals with physics and, you know, father of relativity and all that. There's two famous quotes he's always said. I say it to my students all the time. Two things are infinite, meaning unlimited, you know, never ending. The universe and human stupidity, and I'm not sure about the universe. And the next famous one we always use when we teach them about the theories of facts and what makes scientific facts. No amount of experimentation can ever prove me right. A single experiment can prove me wrong. So here's Einstein, and he understands that even his work is not beyond question. Okay, so every day I teach my science students, I stress to them always to question everything. If your gut tells you something doesn't feel right, investigate. And the facts that you find, even if it's from people of authority or expertise, or worse, your elected officials that should hold your best interest at heart, don't always trust that the facts were obtained honestly and without bias. Question everything, find the facts, the truth is out there. That's what I teach my students every day in high school. Science lesson for the night is this: definition of scientific fact. An observation that has been confirmed repeatedly and accepted as true. Although it's true, it's never final. We teach this all the time. This is the scientific facts you're already holding tightly to. No one likes to be wrong. But isn't it interesting that everything you hear from us here that's dealing with all these wind problems, it's been said before in our state, Wisconsin, New York, Minnesota, Oregon, Australia, all the European countries, and so on. How come every sound recording around the world sounds similar? How come the ones that I record sound just like theirs? They're not living where I am. So you know, with our repeated complaints, shouldn't our complaints be accepted as scientific fact as well if we go off the definition of scientific fact? According to the World Health Organization, they're the ones that go off of everything. Health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. This has been the definition that has not been amended since 1949. Okay? Steve Ambrose is a board-certified member of the Institute of Noise Control for over 35 years. He does studies in this type of stuff. Wow, I guess an argument's happening. He doesn't want to listen to me. Sorry. He stated this. He actually took it upon himself, not paid by anybody, to go ahead and investigate man-made noise problems because he was hearing it a lot. He actually has documentation on this. And he stated this is just real short. We all should view wind turbine neighbors as representatives of the proverbial canary in the mine. Instead, the neighbor is accused of not being truthful, should be ignored, and therefore isolated from consideration. However, this is not working. Complaints are constantly increasing, including the abandonment of homes. People near large wind turbines are so debilitated that they have taken extreme measures to save their well-being. Why have only a few environmental noise and public health officials recognized there is a serious noise problem? The wind turbine industry has enlisted like-minded experts from academia and government agencies to support their goals. Their research is confined to only peer-reviewed documents and panel discussions. They have dismissed the obvious. The neighbors continue to ask that their destroyed lives be peer-reviewed. This leads back to the first canon, and he follows the first 3 rules of, when you're, an official engineer. Sorry, but it's paramount paramount the safety, health, and welfare of the public. So they say wind turbines are green energy, right? That's what y'all believe? Yeah. They're green energy, all right. This is what it is, and this is what's going in your pockets. People's lives will never be worth nor equal to the money and profit people make from these wind turbines. Thanks.
Thank you. Other comments, please? Other comments, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Kirk Allen. I was here a few meetings ago. I would like to, and I didn't, Mr. Alexander, I'd like to compliment with your presentation. One of the things that we go to county board meetings and all too often we see things just shoved through. And I think removing those 2 items was commendable because number 1, I don't believe it was an emergency. And number 2, I don't think it was placed out for bid. And I don't know all the circumstances to it, but I think that was something that definitely needs to be more of a commonplace. I'm not familiar with is it a building permit? It's not a wind farm ordinance, it's a building permit, is that correct? Anybody?
Yes, it's a structural building.
Okay. One of the things from an emergency service background, from a safety standpoint, I know as these turbines continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger, there becomes more and more safety issues from the fan blades themselves. I don't know what your building permit looks like, but from a safety standpoint, I can't imagine why you couldn't have a setback under that building permit based on the turbine size. And that might be something that you folks could look into. I don't know. I know other counties have done it through zoning, but it also could be done through a building permit from a safety standpoint. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Anyone else?
I've got it. Oh, you going?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll wait on you.
My name is Gina Miles and I'm from Armstrong, Illinois. I want to be here tonight just about as much as you want to listen to me. However, this is a very important issue that the county must address immediately, so I will continue meeting you all here until the time comes when a new and improved wind ordinance is crafted. In case you have forgotten our story, let me refresh your memories. We live in Pilot Township with industrial wind turbines surrounding our community of Hope, the closest being 1,685 feet. and 2,307 feet from our home. We've lived in our home for 24 years and have never, ever in the past caused waves or spoken out about anything or anyone in our community or our county. In fact, we love the place we call home. Prior to moving to our current home, which is located 60 feet from Route 49, we lived 200 feet from a busy railroad track and an elevator. We quickly became accustomed to the train, elevator, and traffic noise. These do not, nor did not, cause problems for our family. We were able to sleep at night, open our windows, and enjoy being outdoors. Home is a place we go to at the end of the day to find peace, comfort, relaxation, a sense of well-being, healing, a place to unwind after a stressful day. Home is our sanctuary, our safe haven, a place we put our blood, sweat, and tears into. Unfortunately for us and others in our community, this has all changed when Invenergy put into production its industrial wind farm, California Ridge. We are now assaulted with noise pollution resulting in physical and psychological effects and have become Invenergy and Vermilion County's collateral damage. The noise produced is described differently during various turbine operations. When the industrial machines are searching for wind or repositioning themselves, both of which are pretty constant operations, even when the turbines are not rotating, a loud whining or humming noise is produced. Once rotation begins, a clucking, thumping, banging, tennis shoes being dried in the dryer noise is produced and may continue for hours. Then, depending on the turbine's blade pitch and or revolution speed, 4, 5, or 6 seconds, the 4-second revolution being the worst or loudest, it produces the jet engine sound. We are experiencing sleep deprivation, inability to concentrate, anxiety, and pressure in the head and ears. Not to mention the hopeless feeling of watching everything we've worked so hard for the last 30 years vanish in a matter of months. Our daughter has exaggerated motion sickness. Thus, when the wind turbines are noisy, they cause her to experience headaches, dizziness, and nausea. Now that you all know some of the inherent issues associated with living within an industrial wind farm, in our case, Invenergy's California Ridge, you must revise the Vermilion County wind ordinance to include, at the very least, increased setbacks and setbacks calculated from non-participating property lines, not the foundations of our homes. It is the right and responsible thing for this county to do to help mitigate some of the damages that will be inflicted on the next unsuspecting residents and communities in Vermilion County. Who knows? You and your family may be next on the deceptive wind farm proposal site list. Trust me.
During the roll call, they get paid their credit. So not to cast any votes, not to listen to any community concerns. They can leave after announcing that they are here and present, and they can leave after roll call. And he said that legal. I said, okay, that's fine. Here's my my response to that. What kind of leadership do you have when you can't command or keep the attention of your board members to at least stay for the entire board meeting and have enough self-respect to earn the pay that you get at a board meeting? That's some very, very poor county board leadership. If your county board members can't or won't stay, and you won't say anything to them about staying. Mr. Weiner?
It's your nickel. You go right ahead. You've got
Okay.
2 minutes left.
The gentleman was up here talking about insurance and a lawsuit and taking away property rights, people's freedom to do whatever they want on their property, and they can't change the wind ordinance or structural building permit. Now we're going to call it a structural building permit because that's what it is now. It's a land use issue. You know what I want to do with my land? How I want to use my land? I want to sleep in my house. That's what I want to do with my land. Can I sleep in my house on my land? That's the question I asked Invenergy over and over, emailing them. May I please have permission to sleep in my home? Will you please turn off wind turbines number 57 and 75? One night we got number 56, 57, 75, and 76. 4 wind turbines up to 3,000 feet off, away from my house, turned off at night. These son of bitches are loud, people. I'm telling you. I cannot sleep in my house. Mr. Mayor, are you going to go get a drink?
Please proceed, Mr. Hartley.
Mr. Donahue said, common sense tells you you can't change the rules. Common sense tells me that I think I should be able to sleep in my home. The words that you can't limit private property rights. My private property rights should not be limited to a point where I can't sleep in my home. And I gotta put backpacks on my kids in the morning and shove them out the front door when they're not ready for school. I've already told you guys that once. That's a repeat. Donahue wrote, we don't want to prevent someone from using the land the way that we want to. Come on, I want to sleep in my house at night. The insurance gentleman up here, I didn't catch his name. He wrote, or he said, when you were asking him some questions, what should we do with this? Should the state be involved, or is this a state problem? Does the state let us do these things and those things? And his answer to one of those questions was, the county can't help.
You have 10 seconds, Mr. Hartley.
The county can't help to be in the middle of it. This is your problem.
Are there other comments tonight? Please come forward.
My name is John Kraft, K-R-A-F-T. I'm here to talk about the Open Meetings Act just a little bit. First thing is, thanks for listening to the public session. If you're still sitting here, I appreciate it. The Open Meetings Act specifically states that citizens shall be afforded the opportunity to address the public body. My only question on that sentence is, how can that be accomplished when parts of the public body get up and walk out? The citizens are not being afforded the opportunity to address the public body when some of them leave. They're addressing part of the public body. In my opinion, for what it's worth, and I'm not an attorney, is the public body consists of whatever's sitting here during initial roll call, unless there's an emergency. The other item I had concerns conversations not between board members or between chairmen and board members during public meetings that are not loud enough for everybody to hear. And I will quote something that a former Attorney General stated, that of what avail is an open door to the public if the proceedings are secret. The eyes can see, the ears can hear, but secrecy conceals all. It is no advantage to the citizen to see a member write a name secretly on a ballot or not be able to hear a discussion, unless he is privileged to read what is thereon written. If the vote were taken by whispering in tones so low the attending citizen cannot hear, how would he know what's being done? And the same goes for deliberations. Deliberations are in public, and that goes for conversations. A board member was shooting an email earlier in the meeting. They shouldn't be shooting emails or text, because all of that is subject to the Freedom of Information Act when it happens during a public meeting. So the conversations should be loud enough for everybody to hear, and that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Kraft. Are there others?
Daryl Cameron from rural Rankin, and I just have a short comment. Since we had some board members leave, maybe I'd like to suggest that we move up the public comment about any issue before the county to earlier in the agenda. I'm not real sure why it was moved to begin with. maybe it was some kind of effort to keep people from speaking, but it's not really having the desired effect, and some of the board members are leaving. So I would just like to suggest, is that something you might consider, Mr. Chairman?
It's your name. Thanks for statement, sir.
Well, I just thought, that it might be better if the public comment part about any part of the issues before the county. I mean, obviously, the wind turbine issue affects people's lives. It's a very serious issue, and moving it up on the agenda might give all the board members a chance to hear the issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cameron. Anyone else, please? Seeing no one else, we'll move ahead then to the first table, item 22.
There's nothing for the clerk's table, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Having accomplished all the agenda items that we agreed to through the agenda, I declare the meeting adjourned till October 8, 2013 at
How you doing, Todd?
Thank you very much for being here.